What is up, eighth grade algebra students? It's good to see you. Sort of. I can't see you, but you can see me. Uh, I want you to know that if you have any questions or comments anytime, you can put it in the comments over here and I can see it. Understand that there is about a 4 or 5 second delay from the time you hit enter and the time I can see it on my screen down here. I see already that Valve Gaming is in the chat. So good to see you, Valve Gaming. If you wouldn't mind attaching your name to that so I can see who exactly I'm interacting with, that would be great. There's nothing wrong with my profile picture. I just threw this account together this weekend. This is not my personal account, nor is it my podcast account for those that are wondering. This is my school account. So it's very bare bones. This program that I'm using is called StreamYard. I've used it before in some podcast work, but it is also the bare bones free version of this. So I can't do all the cool things that I can with my other podcast work. However, for what we are doing, thanks Tristan for attaching your name there, bud. I appreciate it. What I'm hoping to do for this little time period, this isn't going to last any longer than an hour, and if we don't need to take that long, then we won't. But even if you don't catch it live, you can catch it on replay, and maybe there will be a thing or two in here that you can come back to or send some of your classmates to who happen to be busy at this time. First of all, I want to welcome you to distance learning. I know we've been at it for just a little bit now, and there have been some bumps and bruises along the way. And I can speak as a teacher. There's been some growing pains, learning how to use Google Classroom in an effective way. And I admit that sending you 3 works of stuff that was just scanned out of the book isn't ideal. If you have your book, that's cool. If you don't, you're having to do the work on a piece of paper and hang on to it. And I know that's not ideal, but for what I knew at the time, having just been introduced to Google Classroom, that was the quickest, fastest way that both Miss Eldred and I could get the content out to you guys. So I hope for the Google Classroom, for those of you that are using it, it will be a little bit more user-friendly and interactive in the next 3-week section. So speaking of the work, taking classes online or distance learning is not a new thing. It's just new to most of the teachers at Huntington, because in a public school, everybody comes to the school, we do work, and then everybody goes home. But internet classes or distance learning has been around for a long time. I've taken actually quite a few classes even going back to 1998, which makes me sound old. I was one of the first, actually, this is kind of cool. I was one of the first people in the United States to actually take a distance learning course, and it was a math course. I was going to school in Portland, and I was taking a calculus class from a teacher in Austin, Texas. And that was kind of a unique situation. It was very cutting edge at the time. But I do have quite a bit of experience taking online courses. So when you have a question about how do I do this, I've actually come up with a little short list of tips that might actually help you do this new thing. Tristan says I should use Streamlabs OBS. It's really useful for streaming aspects. I have some friends that use OBS and swear by it. And maybe I'll look into it. My buddy Josh, who does the podcast with me, he's more of a fan of StreamYard, and we actually bought the program for it so we can be a little more creative in how we use it. But OBS, I've been on podcasts with people that use OBS. David from Beyond the Blast Doors is a good buddy of mine, and he uses that, and he's solid with it, and it is cool. You're absolutely right, Tristan. We might have to take a look at it. But getting back to the stream for today, I got a couple tips for you before we get into specific questions about maybe problems on the assignment or just how to do something on Google Classroom. First of all, when we're at school, we get into a routine and a pattern, and maybe you've heard this before. Um, but that's intentional, that scheduled routine, that everyday expectation. I have this first period, I have this second period, I have this fourth period, etc. This is when I eat lunch. To get in that routine and pattern is actually a healthy thing. Whether you're student, adult, you know, it doesn't matter. That routine, those time boundaries, um, break up your day intentionally so that you have expectation of what you're going to do. And one of the biggest changes to this distance learning is now that structure is gone. You don't have that time set aside that you're going to a place. There are bells telling you when to do what and where to go. Now it's just you're at home and you have, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you've got all this time and there's no real set schedule for it. Well, I want to encourage you to make a plan and schedule some time, if you haven't done it already, to do your math, and then schedule some time to do your science and to do your history and language arts and your elective courses. Because what you'll find is that once you have that time set aside, you're much more likely to get things done. And I understand that being at home, there are brothers and sisters, there are interruptions, there are distractions like TV and video games. However, the more you can adhere and stick to a schedule, the easier transition from school to distance learning you'll have. And I found that to be true for myself. The very first time I took a master's class, it was online, and I had I'd always say, okay, well, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll get to it tomorrow. I kind of procrastinated a bit, and then I ended up having to slam together, a week's worth of content the night before. And whether you're in college or whether you're in middle school, that's never ideal. You rush, you make mistakes, your learning capacity is a lot smaller. So, and the ability to retain it also is a lot smaller, which is what we're kind of hoping for. The next tip is that I want you guys, even though we're not face to face, to ask questions whenever you have them. And I see Wyatt's got a question. I see Isaac is in the chat room. Good to see you guys. But ask questions whenever you have them. Shoot me an email. Get a hold of me through Google. All Huntington math teachers have set aside 10 o'clock to noon every weekday for the explicit time of answering emails, reaching out to students, so we are available, especially from 10 to noon every weekday. Now, we're also available outside of that time, but just understand it's been agreed upon by all Huntington teachers that we're going to set aside this time and be by our laptops, or have our phones ready that we can check our emails, or our notifications, that you have access to us from 10 to noon every day, as well as before and after. We still check our emails multiple times a day. We're getting a lot of information too, and I'm sure your parents and maybe you guys have felt a little overwhelmed at times with all of the information that's coming at you, and how that information has been changing from week to week. Sometimes what we say changes from the state level, so we have to come out and say, well, actually, this has changed now, so now we're going to do this. And we really are trying to limit the number of emails going back and forth, but unfortunately, sometimes us as teachers, we're kind of scrambling too, because we're getting directions from OSPI, from the state level, that is evolving as well. So, daddy issues. Who's daddy issues? What's your name? Put your name on it. Um, Lost my train of thought here. So set up a schedule if you can. My son, I've made a little calendar on a poster board where he can just check off boxes as he does things each day so that he knows what he's done, what he needs to do, and you know, dates that he's looking forward to, because Cowleman is actually mailing work back in. We're not doing that yet. Not to say that we won't, but that actually leads into um, helpful tip number 3. There's only 4, maybe 5. So, and that is keep your work, whether you're using scratch paper or you've been mailed home the packet, keep it. Don't throw any of it away. If you're using scratch paper, make sure you label your scratch paper so if ever I do happen to see it, I know exactly what I'm looking at. Or if you have questions on it, you know exactly where to go because it's somewhat organized. The more organized, the better for both of us. Um, and like I said, at this time, we're not mailing back formally. We're not mailing back, in those packets. You weren't given an envelope to mail things back with. Um, but those of you that are doing the work online, yes, to answer your question, Wyatt, you can put your answers. I'm just scrolling through here because now the live chat's getting active. Wyatt, it is okay to put your answers on a doc and turn it in. Okay. In fact, that would be probably the easiest way for online people to give me their work. So let's see. Let me just check here. Garrett Smerritt. What's that, man? Edwin is in the chat. Good to see you, Edwin. Eli is in the chat. Good to see you, Eli. So Edwin asks a good question here. Do we turn in our work in a couple of weeks or every week? So the matter of turning things in, if you are a packet person and you happen to be watching the stream here, keep your stuff for right now. It has not been determined if you're going to mail it in or drop it off or if we're even going to collect it. That has not been 100% identified yet. If you're doing this through Google Classrooms, just like Wyatt said, you can put your answers on a Google Doc and submit it to me, or email it to me, and I can see it. But until we have that hammered out, I would just do it and just keep it for right now, in whatever manner you see fit. We're giving you a lot of responsibility. I understand that, to hang on to it, to keep it safe, keep it in a binder, make sure little brothers and sisters can't get to it. Hayden Sutherland, Ashley Abbott, good to see you guys too. Betty, Brock, all right, the chat's picking up here. This is good. But yeah, Edwin, I would suggest just don't worry about turning anything in right now. But as far as what you're doing, there's a couple strains of thought here that you do just a little bit each day. You chop it up, so you're just doing little chunks at a time over a 3-week period, and then all of a sudden that big 3-week thing actually becomes very manageable, and you just chip out away at it a little bit at a time. If that's you, awesome. If you're more the type to, okay, I'm going to get as much done as I can in the next half hour and break it up into a little bit larger chunks, or I'm going to do what I can first and then come back to the ones that I'm a little fuzzy about, great. I don't care. Just at the end of 3 weeks, we want to be done with this so that we can move on to the next thing. And the next thing is quadratics. And if you recall, we were just about to get into, we were just getting into quadratics the tiniest bit before we had the shutdown. So, and that's with same as Mrs. Eldred's class too. They will be starting quadratics. So if you know anybody in Mrs. Eldred's class, they're going to be getting the exact same stuff that you're going to be getting as far as that goes. And on this chunk of work, weeks 1 through 20 are considered review. Okay, those are things that we've kind of touched on over the course of the school year. The questions are all, and you've seen this already, I know, they're multiple choice, so there's not really anywhere to show work, especially if you're doing online, but you can do it on scratch paper, whatever. Again, just hang on to that. Um, Weeks 21 through 24 get into quadratics, and that's new. And so I don't expect you guys to have all of that done. But I would like you to kind of look at it, and maybe if you want to kind of push yourself a little bit and try and get a little bit ahead of it, and that's up to you. This is optional, but if you want to get ahead of it a little bit and maybe see if you can learn the difference between standard form of a quadratic equation versus um, uh, vertex form, then go for it. If you want to learn how to graph a parabola, we've kind of done that a little bit with t-tables, but uh, I'll leave that up to you. If you get done with this packet and you have time to kill, then yeah, go ahead, investigate a little bit, see what you can pick up on your own, so that in the next 3 week section, when we hit the ground running with quadratics, maybe you could be a student mentor to maybe some of your classmates, and that would kind of break up a little bit of what I have to do too, because I'll be answering questions. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions once we hit that, but that's in a couple weeks worth of time. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about that right now. So I hope I've answered your question, Edwin. Um, you don't have to turn in anything to me this week. Okay, I'll just say that. Keep whatever work you've done, keep whatever work you're going to do for math. And then as we get closer to the end of that 3 week chunk, we'll see who has, or how I'm going to be able to check everybody's work. Because most of this stuff is going to be participation based, since the ability to get things and get them back to you and have that, that quick interaction is a lot tougher doing what we're doing now. So, Bentley, good to see you, bud. Uh, May 8th, yeah, daddy issues. We're just hang on to all your stuff for right now. Let's see. Get to a question here. Everybody's saying hi for the most part. That's good. That's good that you guys are interacting with each other. I want you to. Let me see. Let me see. It's good to see you too, man. Lord destroy 999. Is that because 666 upside down would be a little too obvious? Eli, is that why? uh, yeah, Garrett. Sorry. Sorry about that. Um, Bentley is Billy Smith. Good to know. Hi, Betty. Brock. I'm still waiting for paper copies. You mean you haven't gotten? Were you supposed to get mailed copies out to you, or did you say you wanted to get things online? Because if you are doing the online route, what you're doing is just viewing, you know, um, basically what's in your textbook, and then you're doing all the work on paper anyway. And then if you're like Wyatt's gonna, I think he's gonna try and put his answers on a Google Doc and submit it to me, or a Word document and email it to me, or something like that. So, however, however you want to do that, whatever makes the most sense for you. Um, can't say that I disagree. Can't say that I disagree. Dahlia. Okay. All right. We got a name to the avatar. Edwin is buffering. I'm just going through here. All right. So I guess at this time, if you guys have questions on any particular uh, question that is in the packet, I do have a little document camera station set up using my iPad and a cardboard box. It's pretty well. Let me just move the camera around so you can see it here. There's my iPad. There's the box it's sitting on. And there's paper and pen for me to do a little bit of writing as needed. So I'm here to help. If you guys have any questions on problems that you've been kicking around in the last week or so, then I would love to help you with them. I have them pulled up over here. I've got like my laptop, the school laptop, iPad for my Chrome or my document camera. I'm ready to roll here. So, as questions pop up, I'll get to them, and yeah, I guess I'll just sit here and wait. Yes, Edwin. Hey, Edwin. Um, question for you specifically: did you start at Cowieman last year, or I guess it'd be this year? And were you out for football? Because I don't remember. And if you were there, it wasn't for very long. But there was a Edwin uh, Duarte piece of tape on a helmet, and I didn't think it was you, but could there possibly be another one? Could there be two people with the same name? Wait, yeah, there is two people. I know who it is now. Yeah, that's not you, Edwin. It's a different Edwin. Never mind. Scratch it. Hey Siri, um, certain number of problems per week. That's kind of up to you and what you have time for. Um, I know that there's, I think, a couple people in class that have already submitted uh, their answers to me through the class Google Classroom. And so, if you want to knock them all out this week, then great. If you want to chop it up and spread them out over the 3 week period to make them manageable, then go for it. You know, I don't know what your routine and schedule is like at home, and you know, if your sister is bugging you or interrupting you, or your mom or your dad has, you know, got you doing chores or whatever. So you'll kind of have to figure out what your routine is, what works best for you, and chip away at it as you can. Just we just want to be definitely done with the weeks 1 through 20 at the end of our 3 week period. So however you want to do that. If you want to do them all on a Saturday, you know, just wait for the weekend and do it, because you gotta, I don't, you know, however you want to do that, Siri, is up to you. So we just want to be done with weeks 1 through 20, and maybe investigate a little bit weeks 21 through 24, just so that you can have an expectation of what's coming. Yeah, maybe try and get out ahead of it just a little bit for quadratics. Up to you. I can see that Mr. Sheeler says he's doing 2 weeks per day, which I believe is about 10 questions per day. And that's great. Perfect. 10 questions per day. That seems reasonable. And they're multiple choice. The correct answer is right there in front of you. You just have to work your way to it. So, yeah, for some people, 10 questions is very doable. For others, they might be able to do 30 questions in a day and then not need the whole 3 week amount of time. That's fine too. I want you guys to know that the reason that Mrs. Eldred and I started off with review questions is twofold. One, we wanted you guys to come back into math after being off of math for about 3 weeks, which includes spring break, which we would have had anyway. But we want you to come back into math, maybe with the ability to recall and remember some things we've worked on and kind of build up to where we left off. And the second is that algebra students will be taking their STAR math test at the end of the course. And that will just kind of be a way to evaluate your second semester. So I know a couple students have reached out, actually a couple parents have reached out as well in regards to that STAR math test and how it's going to be received at the high school and if it has any impact. And details to that are still being worked out too. I know something was thrown out. If you don't know, then don't worry about it right now. But we also kind of wanted to make sure that in this review we were covering things that we hadn't touched on in a while in preparation for that STAR test. Because you're not getting an end of course exam. You're not getting an SBA in math this year, which, right? That's a good thing for you guys. But we do still need to kind of, because this is a high school credited class, we do kind of need to see kind of a course, end of course assessment of sorts. It's not going to determine your grade or pass or fail for the class. Potentially what it might end up doing is some of you, let's say you do really well on the STAR test and then, you get placed into geometry. No big deal, just keep progressing like you were progressing. But what it may do for some, potentially, I'm not going to say this is a done deal yet because I don't yet know. But what it could potentially do is that because the fourth quarter is doing this, and that's different, it's out of routine, it's a different kind of challenge for a number of students, including some in this class, is that it might encourage some of you to start your freshman year taking the second semester of algebra over again. And again, it's not because you'd be getting an F in the class. You're not. Okay? The worst you can do is whatever your third quarter grade is. Okay? Let me make that clear to you. Okay? Whatever your third quarter grade is, that's the lowest you can do. But being algebra students and being academically minded, typically, you guys are going to still be pushing and trying to gain knowledge, especially when we get into quadratics, because it will be expected that if you're going into geometry that you'll have been exposed to and proficient at some quadratic content. So let me get back to the chat here, see if 8 weeks per week would be 24 weeks, Dahlia. So that would be another way to break it down. If you were planning on getting through those bonus weeks at the end, weeks 21 through 24. Let's see. Betty asks, are we going to be graded on the questions on if they're right or wrong? You're going to be graded on your participation and effort towards them. But as far as like right and wrong, if If you have questions on specific problems, like I want to take this time to kind of address specific questions that you're having. I do have an answer key that I will post towards the end of this 3 week period, so you can check your work, and maybe we'll do another stream to because sometimes you don't think you have questions until you find out you got a problem wrong, and then maybe you do have questions. I understand that. But I'll post the answer key. I think Mrs. Eldred may have already posted her answer key. Um, but yeah, I'll get that out to you guys just so you have a way of checking and being able to, um, if you miss something, figure out why and learn from it. Mistakes aren't bad. But as far as the quarter goes, you're either going to get a pass or you're going to get a no credit. Students that don't do anything are going to get a no credit, in which their semester grade will revert back to their third quarter grade. Okay, if you were actively participating, and this is from what I know so far, this is how we're doing it. If you're actively participating, then you're going to get a pass, and I will have the ability, if you're going above and beyond, what you had been doing third quarter, I can move your grade up a little bit. But again, your grade will not be any worse than what it was third quarter. So if you had a good third quarter grade, then just rest easy about your grade and just learn what you can, do what you can, and feel good about it. Put in a good effort, as though you were getting a grade on it, but don't feel the stress of having to perform on a daily basis. Am I going to get is my grade going to go down if I get a bunch wrong? No. Thanks for your question, Betty. Yeah. Um, most of your eighth grade classes are going to be based on participation and effort. But again, you guys are in a little bit of a unique situation where, because it's a high school class, you are going to get a grade, because that will go on a transcript because it's a high school credited class. It's just that the grade for fourth quarter is going to be very lenient, right? And will not be any lower than what you got third quarter. So again, hopefully I can make that part clear. Yes, Mrs. Cadell said it was effort because her class is not a high school credited class. Hmm. Okay. Dahlia is a bot. Okay, yeah. I'm just scrolling through here. Nice try. I wish that were the case. Jeffrey Jeff, who are you? Identify yourself. Ashley asks, is there a certain time this thing ends? Your Minecraft dog misses you. No, this ends at noon. You can come and go as you please. If you have questions on problems that were in the assignment, feel free to ask. You do not have to be here. You can leave whenever you want, or you can stick around until this thing ends, which will be at noon, no later than noon. So, yeah. It's good to see you, Ashley. Thanks for checking in. If you take off for visiting your Minecraft dog, then give him a good pat on the head for me, and we'll see you soon. If your grade was not okay third quarter, then keep participating, keep contributing to the discussion, and I'll take care of you there, okay? Mr. Sheeler, watch your language, please. Zoom meeting, Isaac, you want to do a Zoom meeting? Yeah, we could do that. I think you guys interact with each other pretty well already. That would be more for you guys than for me, I think. But it's possible. We could do that. Oh, building a treehouse. I would love to see a picture of that, Tristan. That would be cool. Post it to our page. Okay. All right. Does anybody know who Jeffrey Jeff was? I just blocked him. uh, all right. Sounds good, Tristan. Does anybody have any questions about what we're doing or any of their problems? Because if we don't, then we can shut this down, or you guys can keep chatting on the side until noon. That's fine. But I am prepared. Look, watch this. Document camera locked and loaded with my cardboard box, Edwin. Don't make fun of me, Edwin. Lord Destroy is Eli, if we are to believe him or her. Remember, there's just about a 4 or 5 second delay from when you post a comment before I can respond to it. I'm learning. I'm learning. So, little quick stream, little YouTube, little document cam. Wyatt, how do you know when a virtual hug has been accepted? To know that you're taking it back. It's a bummer that we couldn't have track season this year. That kind of stunk. But hopefully, those of you that are track minded turn out in high school. Feel bad for the seniors. If you know any seniors, make sure you give them an actual hug. COVID be damned. Oh, should I have said that? I feel real bad for the seniors, whether they're in sports or not. And this is really throwing a monkey wrench into their end to their senior years, which has made things complicated. So, if you know any seniors, give them a shout out. All right. What have you guys been doing? I know with my family, we've been playing a lot of card games and working outside. The weather's been pretty nice overall. We've had a little bit of rain, but excuse me, been doing some yard work. My dad got a mini bike. We've been bouncing around on that thing. That was kind of fun. Wyatt, you're going to do soccer instead of track? Well, at least you're doing something, I guess. Jarrett, you said the SH word. Scroll up, it's there. Better than some words, less than others. Playing some Fortnite. Yeah, you should subscribe to this channel, Edwin. Oops, wrong one. There we go. You should subscribe to it because really the only people that know about it are you guys, which is fine. I'm not looking to get eyeballs on this other than you guys. Subscribe to it so that when I post the next stream, you guys will all get notified, and just another way to make sure we can get everybody in here. My plan was to do one a week, but we can do it more or less. We can do another one on Friday if you want, just so you guys have some more time to get some work done. And maybe I'll know answers to some questions that I don't currently have right now. So maybe we can play that by ear, but definitely subscribe to this. You know, there's 32 students in class, 16 boys, 16 girls, and it would be cool if we had 32 subscribers, and that's it. So let me look here. Talking to friends. Um, I started playing Jedi Fallen Order recently. I haven't been a gamer in a while, but since we're home more now, my son had it, and so I started playing it. It's pretty fun. Everybody healthy? Staying healthy? Hope so. Can't be too careful. Why should I unblock Jeffrey Jeff if he's not in this class? He's just taking up bandwidth. No offense. We have some Fallen Order fans in here. Okay, cool. About 40% done. Like I said, I haven't gotten too far into it yet, but I enjoy it. I don't know, Jeff. I know you. Rocket League's cool. I've seen that. I wanted to play that, but I just haven't. But Rocket League's cool for sure. If I was going to get back into gaming, which there was a time in the early 2000s when the original Xbox came out, you'd be hard pressed to find a better Halo player than Mr. Lemire. But that was before I had, wife and kids. So, yeah, please be washing your hands. You should be anyway. Like, that shouldn't be like, oh, now I should start washing my hands. You should wash your hands anyway. You should brush your teeth anyway. You should probably shower every day or every other day. Be kind to your neighbors. You don't have to subscribe. I appreciate it. Why they don't have, no one has to subscribe, but if you wanted to, it would notify you next time we did something like this. So up to you guys. Ooh, Halo 4. Huh. What if we instead, Brock? What if instead of Halo 4, we did Halo Reach instead? Like, I know you don't want to go back to original Halo because that's like that's my playground and you can't play on it. But the later we go, Halo 3, Halo 4, 5, Halo Reach, the better chance you'd have. So maybe we could even live stream it. Do a live stream, a gamer watch. Put it on, what is it? Twitch? That's the thing, right? That would be kind of funny. Now I got to think, do I have Halo Reach still? We'll find out. Reach was pretty awesome. Tristan, Halo 2 was awesome. The levels were cool. But what I liked best about it is that the needlers, man, those became legit all of a sudden. And go to double needlers, that's like the best, man. um, my wife and my daughter, who's 4, we did. Okay, well, my wife has been doing a lot of internet challenges to kill time. We've done a few, and my wife and I and my daughter, so we have 2 boys too, but they were not involved in this. But we did the blinding lights challenge. That was pretty exciting. Felt pretty good about it, and we sent it around to our family members, and we had a nice little family member challenge of the blinding lights challenge. That was kind of exciting. Brock is installing Halo Reach right now. That's great. That's great, Brock. You better practice that, buddy. I'm going to take that out. So, Aiden Edwin, if you saw it, why didn't you answer the challenge, or have you? And I just haven't seen it because I don't, I don't follow middle schoolers um, for professional reasons. So, if there's a place to go see it once, I would love to see it, Edwin. I'd love to see you do the Blinding Lights challenge. Aiden, I'd love to see you and your family do the Blinding Lights challenge. Uh, yeah, Mr. Lemiere's got some moves. Know that. Okay, guys, we're just about at 50 minutes. Um, Halo 4 for the 360 was good, for sure, for sure. Um, Let me scroll back up and see if I can find Jeffrey Jeff and where I blocked him, and maybe I'll let him back in. But he's got to play nice. Hmm. All right, Jarrett, tell Jeffrey Jeff that he's got to sit out this one. Maybe we can try again next time. All right, because it's not letting me click him back in. That might just be the. That just might be the free version of StreamYard that I'm using. So we'll just have to roll with that. Tell him next time. Xbox One or 360? Well, Reach came out originally on the 360, but I don't have a 360 anymore. But I do have an Xbox One. Excuse me, my kids have an Xbox One. I don't. I'm too old for things like that most of the time. I use it for Disney Plus. All right, after we're done here, Tristan will all go over and see your treehouse that you've been putting together with your dad. Um, I'm too old for TikTok. Men in their 40s don't do TikTok. Ashley, I thought you left. No, I'm not getting a TikTok. I see my students doing their TikTok dances in class enough as it is. I don't want to be a part of that. Brock, we'll see if it actually happens or not. But yeah, that would be kind of fun. Someday when things get back to normal, maybe we'll just. I know that probably won't be this year, and therefore you guys would be at the high school. But um, one of my early years in teaching, on the last day of school, the one where we get like, well, we don't do that anymore, but it used to be like you'd go to class for like all six of your classes for 15 minutes and sign yearbooks and just kind of fist bump each other, have a little assembly, and then hit the road. But I brought an Xbox in and hooked it up to my projector and no, not my Xbox, my Nintendo Wii, and played Mario Kart with whoever wanted to play. Underrated game. Love that game on all platforms. You're totally appreciated here, Ashley. What are you talking about? You guys are funny. Mario Kart for which device? Because it's been around since Nintendo 64, which predates all of you guys. Nintendo 64 came out when I was in college, and we played the heck out of GoldenEye. That was like the first four-player like shooter game. Oh, so fun! I still have very fond memories of that game. I still have that game, but yeah, Mario Kart and GoldenEye are probably like number one and number two Nintendo 64 games. But Mario Kart still versions keep coming out and they're all awesome. So so I don't know. I don't know if you're like, trying to make me feel old, Ashley, but I am old enough to be your dad. So it makes sense that your dad has one of those. They're cool. Play it sometime with him. He'd love it. Yeah, GoldenEye was definitely cutting edge in 98, 99. It was awesome. Hey, who's its reflex? Isaac, your dad's a cool guy. I've met him. Terrell, welcome. Glad you could make it, bud. Or were you just watching? Were you just watching this whole time and not jumping in the comments? It's good to see you, bud. I appreciate your question. Um, when will we know? That depends. Put your question back up there. That depends on if you're doing it in the packets. If you were mailed home the packets, then obviously I can't put a grade in until I see it. Um, and how I'm going to see it is not 100% known at this time. If you're doing the things, submitting through Google Classroom, um, I will periodically check to see, what's been done. But again, this, excuse me, this grading thing is still getting worked out. So I haven't entered in any grades, although some people have submitted some items to me, but I haven't graded anything yet. But I have seen things that have been turned in. So, um, you know, if you missed the beginning, I've been encouraging students just to keep all their work for now, whether it's on scratch paper or whether it's on the actual packets. Just do it, label it, organize it so that, whoever's looking at it knows what problems the work goes to. And then just hang on to it for now until we get a better idea of how everyone's work is going to get submitted, not just the Google people. So thanks for the question. Appreciate it. Yeah, I am old enough to be your dad. Fact, I have a seventh grade son. So, Ashley, get a Mario Kart group together. Be a good COVID activity. So about 4 minutes left here before I'm going to shut her down. Um, give another opportunity if anybody wants to ask questions on any of the work. Um, and yeah, let's not let this good cardboard go to waste. You guys like the background? Maybe one of these times I'll throw up a green screen and have a little fun with that. But I never had my own gaming console until I was 23. Yeah, didn't have any of them growing up. No Atari, no Xbox, no PlayStation, no Sega Genesis, no Nintendo 64. I had to wait till I was making my own money to get one. So I bought an Xbox because I have a cousin that was one of the engineers who built it, worked for Microsoft. And it came with Halo, and that's about all I got for a while. That's all I needed. Game Boy Advances are cool. That's cool. I don't know how to feel about that either, Wyatt. His color stands out, that's why. That's the easy answer. All right, well, we're right at 59 minutes and 30 seconds, so I'm going to sign off. We'll do this again. Thanks for participating in the chat. And next time we do this, let's get some math questions ready. Get to those questions in your packet, and we'll talk to you then. All right. Stay safe out there. We'll talk to you later.